tonight.
We are so happy to be here to commemorate my great uncle George, who sacrificed his life for our freedom. Thank you, thank you.
A local couple traveled to France to honor a family member who died in World War I. And students across the city pay their respect ahead of Remembrance Day. Plus, comedian Louis C.K. admits to sexual misconduct allegations.
This is Newcap News with Michaela Henshaw.
Good evening. As Remembrance Day draws nearer, our thoughts shift towards those who fought and sacrificed their lives for their families and our country. One local couple decided to honor their great uncle who perished in World War I by traveling to France and finding his final resting place. Kira Lyons has more.
We are so happy to be here to commemorate my great uncle George, who sacrificed his life for our freedom. Thank you, thank you.
On April 9th, 2017, just 3 days after the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, Dawn and her husband Rick found her great-uncle's grave in the small Dominion Cemetery about 30 minutes outside of Vimy.
I found it to be extremely moving. I found it to be very humbling. And yet also happiness in knowing that I found him. In among all the graves that we had seen in all these different cemeteries, we were able to find his. I was able to touch his, to feel a connection to him as a relative of mine. So it was an amazing experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, really.
Lance Corporal George Clifton Mackenzie, only 22 when he was killed in the line of duty, fought in the Battle of Vimy Ridge, the Second Battle of Ypres, Amiens, Hill 70, and Arras. He had been laid to rest in Dominion Cemetery for 99 years before being found by his family.
And I did a prayer to thank him for his sacrifice. And I had a poppy, and I left that with him. And it's really so sad to think. He was a young man, he was 22. He died 10 weeks before the end of the war. He never had the opportunity to marry. He never had the opportunity to have children. He sacrificed that for all of us.
Seeing the rows upon rows of the brave young men who left their homes to fight for what they believed in and protect the ones they loved was something that Dawn will never forget.
I would hope people would just remember that amazing courage and bravery that these young men displayed in going forward to protect all of us. And they gave their lives so we could live in a democracy. And for that, I believe they shouldn't be forgotten.
This year, Dawn and her family will be laying a wreath in her great-uncle's honor at the Remembrance Day ceremony.
We will continue to talk about him. We'll continue to share what he experienced in the different battles. Because that way we won't forget, and also more people can learn about it.
Kira Lyons, Newcap News.
And students at a local school took time to honor the sacrifice that our veterans have made with a school-wide assembly. Darcy Ropshan has more.
It was a somber time of reflection for the students of Winston Churchill School. Children had the opportunity to show their appreciation for the freedoms that were afforded here in Canada, freedoms that were built on the backs of our veterans.
I was a wreath bearer. It was really nice because I always like how we laid out wreaths to remember the soldiers that fought and died for us.
Although these kids are several generations removed from those who served in the 2 world wars, the gravity of this solemn day was not lost on them.
think it means that, like, we should remember those people that gave that sacrifice and, like, what they did.
The students weren't the only ones to take the time to pay their respects. MLA Richard Starkey was there to thank our veterans for their service.
These ceremonies of remembrance are tremendously important, especially in our schools, because our children, and it's tremendously important that they learn about Canada's history. I always tape and then watch the service from Ottawa, which is wrapped in tradition, and this is such a milestone year for Canada with the 100th anniversary of Vimy Ridge and Passchendaele.
Darcy Ropchan, Newcap News.
Well, it is Remembrance Day long weekend, and there are several events planned. Heather Klages gives us the details in this week's edition of What's Happening. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day, and communities across the area are hosting services so that you can head out and pay your respects to those who have fought for our freedom. If you're in the Lashburn area, the community hall is where services will be held. If you're in Frenchman Butte at the Legion, that's where their services are. And if you're here in Lloydminster, they're going to be at Lloyd Comp High School. All the services get underway at 10:45 a.m. tomorrow. Coming up next Saturday night in Paradise Valley, there's going to be a fundraiser for the Climb Through Time Museum. They're going to be hosting an evening with the Heebie-Jeebie Singers. They're going to have delicious appetizers, dessert as well, plus a silent auction. If you want to get your tickets, you can stop by ATB Financial in Paradise Valley or in Lloydminster. We want you to start off your weekend by winning. We've got a copy of Incubus's latest album, 8. It includes their hit singles, State of the Art and Glitter Bomb. If you want a copy, it's really easy. All you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontest@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the music. And Mistletoe Magic is underway this weekend at the Service Sports Centre. You can check it out tomorrow or Sunday. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klages, and that's what's happening.
This is Newcap Sports.
Well, first-year players can be a detriment to AJHL teams trying to make a run at a league championship, but with good coaching, those same players can be key contributors. The Bonneville Pontiacs are one team with a plethora of young talent, but the work of their veteran is what's helping them move up in the standings. Lance Phillip tells us about one player who's beginning to turn heads.
The Pontiacs are a successful team of late. 3 straight wins has moved Bonneville into 5th place in the AJHL North, and that success has been due in large part to the performance of PJ Morocco. The Edmonton native was named Player of the Week by the AJHL, an honor that's well deserved considering he's the leader in both league scoring and Viterra Cup standings. It's 2 often overlooked aspects of his game attributing to his accomplishments.
I think just moving my feet and working hard. Those are the 2 biggest things I think you need to have in this league is moving your feet and just working hard, and good things will happen.
He wants to be a player. He's receptive to coaching, and he's the first one out in practice. He's the first one showing up here. He's the last one off in practices. He's trying to get better every single day, and he understands that if his success is dependent upon him, he wants to make sure it's taken care of, and no one's more deserving than that honor than him.
But team success isn't fully determined by a single player, a fact Morocco knows well. Although he's making other players better, those other players are also helping him achieve new milestones.
Just keeping it simple and using my strengths. I think they know that I like to shoot the puck, and I have to get open, and they'll find me. And right now, me, Brownie, and Charlie are just we're clicking, and it's really nice to watch.
He comes into a situation this year with the Bonneville Pontiacs that have a plan in place, and we're going to go with a younger group of smart character hockey players. It's a tough thing for a 20-year-old to adjust, thinking that, well, it's my last year of junior. Now I got to take this added mentorship role with these young kids and still worry about my own game.
It doesn't matter who you're playing with, great guys on this team, and it's just making it easy and fun to play.
Morocco's defining qualities have been on display all season, and by season's end, those qualities may earn him a scoring title, but more importantly, a college-level contract. Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Bonneville.